deal constructively with that kind of false logic.
Okay, well, I'm sure that's an argument that's going to rage for some time. We are running out of time, though. I do need to move on to the government's plan for a new national broadband system. Yesterday, the government rejected Telstra's bid because it didn't meet some legal conditions. Craig Emerson, the opposition and Telstra say that the reasons behind that decision were trivial and spurious. Does it make sense to exclude the country's biggest telco from such an important process?
Well, it was an independent panel that excluded it, and based on legal advice. And you can't have one set of rules for a number of bidders and another set of rules for Telstra. Telstra was asked to comply with the conditions of the bid. They did not do so. And in not doing so, you're not being then fair to the other bidders by saying, oh, we'll make a special dispensation for Telstra. They knew what they were doing. They failed to comply. The independent panel has ruled, including on the basis of legal advice, and Telstra's out.
Well, Michael Johnson, some communications analysts are saying that Telstra is realistically the only company that can actually roll out this new system in the government's time frame. Is that the opposition's take on this too?
Look, I think Craig was not very persuasive in his arguments there. If you look across the whole of the Labor government, I mean, so many departments, so many portfolios by the ministers are really just all over the place. And if there's one area that is an absolute schmozzle, this is it. I know Craig will try to put a better spin on it, but
we respect tendering processes.
This is an absolute mess. I'm not sure how a real, genuine tender process can take place in this country without the largest telco. I mean, this is $4.7 billion of taxpayers' money that could be going to an Australian company. And if you look at the share price of, don't take it from me, Craig, if you look at the share price of Telstra, it dropped, 11%, $6 billion wiped off. I think the market's spoken very convincingly about how they feel the government's handling this.
And your argument, Michael, is you don't need to comply with the conditions of a tender process, just pick Telstra. Well, that is not the way we're going to operate. That is not the way we're going to operate.
Michael Johnson, it is pretty ironic that the opposition's going to bat for Telstra after being at loggerheads with this company for years under the Howard government. But do you think that Telstra is the only company that can actually realistically deliver on this?
Well, what's important is that every stakeholder gets a chance to bid, and what the government has said is Telstra, an Australian company with Australian shareholders, are not permitted to bid. And I think
they were permitted to bid.
And I think that all the shareholders of Telstra will have great reservations about supporting this government at the next election. And certainly, I would certainly encourage all shareholders to look very carefully who have had probably thousands of dollars wiped off their personal savings and investments.
We need a fair and open tendering process, and you can't have one big telco saying we're not going to play by the rules, just pick us. And we're not going to do that. We're not going to get intimidated by a particular company saying we're not going to comply, just pick us.
I just want to ask you, a lot of people who voted for Labor probably thought they'd get a much tougher emissions trading scheme and a high-speed broadband network much sooner than it now seems likely. Has the reality of government set in, do you think?
Well, we are operating in the national interest, and a 27% reduction in emissions on a per capita basis is a very ambitious target. As Penny Wong said, we could set all sorts of targets with no intention of achieving them. What we've done is set a realistic target which is actually more ambitious than Europe. So, I think if people want to judge this objectively, they'll say this is an ambitious target. There is a plan to achieve it. Not everyone's happy, and I can't even imagine how we could have made, people from the very dark green side happy and industry happy. What we've done is gone straight down the middle, straight down the middle in the national interest,
that's the big difference.
We are proud of that. And I think Penny Wong, Kevin Rudd, and the whole team have done a very, very good job. And if you ask industry, they'll say the consultation was excellent.
You said one thing to the Australian people. Today you're saying something else because you're in government.
Insights this morning. Michael Johnson and Craig Emerson have run out of time. Thank you for your time. Be sure to watch PM Agenda this afternoon at 4:15 Eastern Daylight Time. For now, though, I'm Ashley Gillen. Thanks for your company.